Hello and welcome to the Porsche Cup Challenge. This is week 11 here in wonderful Sebring, Florida, and I think we've got a wonderful race coming up just based off of this nice qualifying session here. Joining me tonight is Zach Purcell. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing really good. This is a track that I think really everybody likes. A lot of opportunities to be racy, a lot of places that it can bite you. It's certainly very bumpy, so I think these guys, unless someone's in one of those extremely expensive, four-dimensional rigs, I think everyone's probably going to enjoy being in the sim rather than in the actual car here. But I think it's going to be a good one. And yeah, Aiden Young up there currently on pole, about halfway through this qualifying session, and that's a big deal for a guy who is second in the overall standings behind Sam Sproul by only 4 points. But I don't see Sproul here today, so. This is Aiden Young's championship lead for the taking.
Yeah, that's always a good sign when your main competitor is not here. Now, hopefully he makes it in. I mean, open qualifying means he has to the end of the session to register, but at this point, it's not looking like he's going to be here. So, hopefully he'll come back for a little bit of a challenge in the last race, unless Aiden Young can run away with something.
Yeah, the better picture we have now too is that, and obviously it can change depending on how the results of these last two races go. But we do have now 3 dropped races for all the drivers. So from their 3 worst. So, and actually Sproul had missed the last 2 races. Also, he had attended every race before that. So 3 races missed in a row. If he does not get in here in time, those are his 3 drops, and he does have one bad week, which was the first week at Alton Park. And Aiden Young doesn't really have any bad weeks. He missed Alton Park. He missed that race. But for the most part, if Sproul doesn't show up, Aiden Young's just being given the lead, and it should be a pretty big lead. And Devin Horvath is not that far off in 3rd place either. And he's here today and put in some good times in practice. And you can see now he's 2nd in qual behind Mikey Hownick.
Well, then you heard it here first. Aiden Young in a really, really solid spot going into this race, especially with his competitor not here. So hopefully he shows up, but if he doesn't, Aiden Young, solid outlook.
Yeah, and that would be my best bet to take the lead after this, but Devin Horvath is right in there. He's only 8 points off the back of Aiden Young, and he's not missed a single race. He's one of only 5 drivers in the entire field that has made every single race, and that's really paid dividends because a couple bad outings, for example, is Road America, where he got disqualified in the first heat. That's dropped from his record, and so he can have a much better one. And it certainly looks like he has the pace to put in another high-scoring night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, super strong, and there goes Mark Santana. And also Patrick Hingston, who's finally got out on track and set some laps. We've got 4 minutes left in this qualifying session, so not too long to go now, and it's looking pretty solid. Let's see. No penalties here tonight, so everybody was pretty clean last race. It was a very decent race at Spain. And yeah.
And we're currently looking at all the top 9 in the pro class. Again, if anybody were to qualify in the top 9 in this race and had not competed in 3 races and were an AM, they would be promoted. That's not going to be the case with any of these people, I don't think. But I mean, these guys really showing out with how fast they're qualifying, and even Patrick Hingston, I just mentioned he only has a couple laps in here, but still a guy who is fast at every single track, and he's down there in 9th place right now, 2nd off of Mikey Hownick. We've seen some really good starts off the line from him in the past, though, so I think this can be a really exciting race. All of those top 9 guys are great names.
Yeah, so we're gonna have something to watch for sure, and with the competitive nature of this league, you mentioned before, Zach, turn 1 could be quite something.
Yeah, it's super wide, and I mean theoretically you could go. Theoretically you could go like 5 cars wide, but the trick is that it really narrows down into the straight into turn 2, and turn 2 is in any car a difficult braking zone on the start of a race, but in these cars especially because they don't have the ABS, they have extremely cold tires, and we've seen most of the accidents with these cars happen in the first few laps before they can get those tires up to temperature. So turn 2 will be a treacherous spot for both the sprint and the feature because there's going to be a lot of people trying to take it multiple cars wide, and they got to get that filtered through turn 2 quickly.
They certainly do have to get that filtered because it is very wide to very narrow pretty quickly. So I'm very excited. We've got about 2 minutes now as this is Ryan Colquhoun actually, putting in a lap, and he's gonna come across the line. Not quite the lap he needed, but yeah, 17th.
Yeah, he had a good couple last races. Was really fast both in Road America and Spain, so maybe this track not suiting his driving style as much, but it's not an easy track, and there's quite a lot of turns to it. You can see we're over 2 minute lap times, which is pretty long in these things, and there's a lot to learn. So I'm excited to watch this race because there's a lot of passing opportunities, but I think we'll see a lot of that as well right there.
Yep, the bumps, very easy to get a little messed up with due to their lack of traction control here. It's get a little loose and then around you go.
Yeah, nowhere more bumpy than the final turn, Sunset Bend. It's an amazing turn that is terrifying every single time you take it. I mean, there's like 5 different racing lines you can take through there and still make it work. It allows, because of those different racing lines that you can take, it allows drivers to go side by side through there, which is important because the longest straight of the race, Ullman Straight, going down into that will be the best opportunity for these guys to get side by side, and they'll be able to send it through Sunset side by side. But it's gonna be exciting to watch, but they'll be white knuckling it in the cockpit.
Yeah, a little bit scary. So 7 minutes, not 7 minutes, 7 seconds, 5 seconds now to the end of this session here. Everybody's off track, and looks like this will be how they finish. So
yeah, Mikey Howanick using his Florida native advantage to take pole here.
There we go. So Mikey Howanick on pole, and then Devin Horvath in second, Aiden Young in third, Michael McLeod is fourth, Ariel Julian, Mark Lampere, Philippe Straffarelli, Ryan Winfelt, Patrick Hingston, Aaron Hall, Carl Ribbing, and Stefan Chalafou.
Following those guys, starting in 13th is Michael Carrillo, Miguel Souza, Rob Rodriguez Jr., Shannon Mothral, Ryan Colquhoun, Dan Marrera, Mark Santana, Stephen Eckenrode, Troy Fenelon, Jean Rivera, Gary Watson, and Edward Hubb.
And we've got Crispin Hudson and Jerome Callender. So those two, well, no, Crispin did put in a qualifying time, but Jerome either not in the session or just electing not to take his qualifying laps.
Yeah, I don't think he's in the session, so I think we'll be at 25 cars for this race here.
It's a nice, solid number. So
yeah, it'll be a good one, and I think we have a lot of strong drivers here, and I'm really excited for this. It's a very short run down to turn 1 here.
Yeah, so a standing start as well, so that safety car we just saw there won't be needed tonight. And I like this view, but it's not going to give us the greatest show of the jump. So we'll have to come here for the 12-hour camera. And Mikey Howanick looking menacingly in pole position. So the gridding procedure's over. And the lights about to come on. 5 of them. There's 2, and there's 4, and now there's 5. They go out, and away the cars go. Mikey Howanick's blinking already. Devin Horvath is not going to answer that. Michael McLeod in the background is coming up on Devin Horvath now. They're about 4 wide going into turn 1. Let's look behind. Ariel Julian, Aiden Young, Michael McLeod on the outside trying to hang around, and then Devin Horvath behind that as well. We've got Mark Santana, I think, joining the party there in the car there. No, that is Devin Horvath, Aaron Hall, Miguel Souza, all in that little section of 7 cars there. Michael Carrillo is getting passed now by Jean-William Rivera as they come into turn 3. But, wow, too wide through there, up and down the field. That is a fun race they're having already. Michael Carrillo trying to edge it out, and it's looking like he just won't have the speed, but still side by side as they come down to turn 4. The hairpin, and it looks like Michael Carrillo does keep it. Somebody's in the wall. That's Aiden Young. Aiden Young's in the wall. Oh, no. It's spread across the track. Aiden Young. Mark Santana collects him. Mark's off the track. I think he hit somebody else, but I'm not sure who.
Yeah, let me go back and check that. That was 100% avoidable there.
Miguel D'Souza getting ahead there of Stefan Chalafou, who's running the same livery as this man right here, Ariel Julian, who's up from 5th into 2nd place now, following Mikey Hownick, who had a great jump off the line. Nobody could answer him as he just ran away in the beginning.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see. Yeah, the driver that hit Aiden Young was Dan Marrera. Mark Santana getting involved in that as well. I think that was everybody involved in that little bit there. So unfortunately, Mark Santana got it pretty bad there.
Yeah, he had some big contact. Now hold on, side by side again, Stefan Chalafou and Shenema Thrall there in the Pabst car. Going down the straight. This is what we call the bumpiest corner in Sebring, Sunset. And Chalafou's got that inside line, but it's not always the best. It's kind of a toss-up here for what you want to be on. Shannon Mothral doing very nicely. Michael Carrillo trying to follow him through. You can see Carl Ribbon kind of poking his nose in this battle as well. He's side by side with Michael Carrillo, and Shannon Mothral way ahead as they go down the straight, and I think he's going to have it when they go into turn 1. There he is. Michael Carrillo maybe trying to slide through as well now on Stefan Chalafou. Can he do it is the question. He's right on the back of Shannon Mothral there. And good on the brakes into turn 2. And he's ahead.
Move.
Nice move there from Mr. Michael Carrillo.
Yeah, on the start there, Devin Horvath started in second and didn't have a horrible get off the line, but just kind of got swallowed before they even got there by 3 guys behind. He was third of 4 wide, decided to back out to not risk it too much, and then Mark Lampere took advantage, sent it through as well. So he's made up 1 spot, of course, from Aiden Young having that incident, but he's down 3 from where he started in second. Yeah,
Rob Rodriguez Jr. here on Edward Hub, I believe, and he has it, but he just doesn't have that exit out of the corner, and he's able to stay ahead. Edward Hub is able to, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Shannon Mothral is under attack by Michael Carrillo now, and Carrillo, who we saw follow Mothral through past Stefan Chalafou, has now gotten ahead of Shannon Mothral.
Yeah, it's just 1 spot down from the 6th that Mothral's gained another race where he's gained a lot of spots early from his qualifying position.
Yeah, he's always a really, really solid race driver. Not always the highest qualifying, but he does really well during the race to kind of make up for that. And 6 positions, not too bad. Carl Ribbing was down 1, but that pass on Stefan Chalafou right there puts him where he qualified.
Yeah, it's good little early recovery there. Ribbing had lost a couple spots, gained 1 from an incident in the head, but although he's under some attack here. Yeah,
there's a little bit of shuffling, but it's not looking like there's much happening in terms of side-by-side for them in this instance through Sunset. Mark Lampere, though, on Devin Horvath. We'll see him right there on the outside going through turn 1, but Mark Lampere nicely ahead by the time they come to turn 2.
It was there in turn 1 where Lampere was able to get around Horvath in the first lap, so Horvath trying to get him back there, but couldn't quite get it done at that point.
Yeah, but he'll keep trying. Oh, a little contact, it seems, from Ryan Colhoun and Ryan Winfelt. 2 Ryans. Ryan squared, actually. And so not too big of a damage, though. Just a tiny little love tap.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Ryan Winfelt on that race start because he had a pretty good qualifying position. Yeah, I'm watching here. He and the guy next to him, Philippe Straffarelli, who we can see there was down 14. But they both had really rough starts off the line. Lots of wheel spin, and they got passed by a ton of guys before they even made it to the apex of turn 1.
Yeah, they did. It was quite a bogged down moment for him. Now, I know Michael McLeod, he made up 1 spot on that. I mean, look at all the gainers we've had. we've had a few people that have fallen back. Crispin Hudson had an incident there. Aiden Young out of the race, but actually, we were speaking of that. With Sproul not here, Aiden Young had a pretty good chance, but he's retired from race 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much over. Of course, once he had that much damage to the car, it was. I mean, it's up to you if you think it's worth it, but I'm not even sure if he was able to drive that back to the pits, especially given how long the lap is. So Michael McLeod there makes his way ahead of Ariel Julian.
Yeah,
it's coming back at him though.
Yeah, McLeod was in 3rd, and Ariel Julian started 5th. Now he's in 2nd. Michael McLeod, can he get ahead? We've seen him have some great pace in the past few rounds. A Belle Isle for sure. And right now, he wants that 2nd place. Mikey Hownick's not too far up the road. They haven't been fighting too hard that they're losing a lot of time.
Yeah, that last lap that Hownick put in, though, was, I mean, fastest of the race, and by about half a second at least from anybody. And McLeod there, I believe, had the 2nd fastest lap. So, I mean, if Hownick can continue to have this clear air and he's got that battling behind him, of course, McLeod is going to have to lose some time getting around Ariel Julian, or Ariel Julian's going to lose time defending to McLeod. It's looking good for Hownick so far because he looks like the fastest on track and in 1st place.
Yeah. Now, look how close these guys are. It is wonderful to see. There's Troy Fenelon in turn 4 going around Ryan Colquhoun, and he's going to get the move done. And Rob Rodriguez Jr. in the white car there wants to get past as well, but just can't get the drive out of the corner to really get up there for turn 6.
Yeah, it may seem like they're being a little frantic or aggressive for, being this early stages of the race, except you look at it and we're halfway through already. It's 7 minutes, 40 seconds into that 15-minute race. So, I mean, the moves have to be made now.
Yeah, there is no time to waste as they go through this bumpy track. I mean, every turn counts when the race is 15 minutes long. Now, Troy Fenelon on Stefan Chalafou. He was brave, but it did not work out for him.
Yeah, these guys are so close that if you lose a battle, you're probably going to be ceding positions to a couple guys. There really is the mantra of, pick your battles. You got to pick ones that you can win, because if you take a risk, you may lose more than just that one spot.
Yeah, so we can see just the rear wing, or the rear bumper, the rear wheel of Ryan Colquhoun through Rob Rodriguez's window, and it's not gonna be enough for Ryan Colquhoun. Look at that, way wide, and that bumper that he had of a lead is now is behind
McLeod through Julian.
Yes, that as well.
Into turn 2. That was a really good pass they had there. But Horvath right on the back, and then Hingston, who has obviously made places up from where he started in 9th up to 5th, and he just put in the fastest lap of the race as well.
Yeah, not looking too bad at all. Devin Horvath is actually down 2. He started in 2nd place. Oh, make that 1. As he goes around Ariel Julian. Can he keep it, though? It's a tricky corner to go too wide in. It's very narrow, and they're still side by side as they go through. But the nature of the turn, still side by side. Going to the next corner. It's a good one to have the inside in. It's a good one to have the outside in. And I don't know. They're still side by side. Devin Horvath really wants it, and I think he has it. Yep. That's his. Now watch out. Hingston's also there. Ariel Julian's going to lose 2 spots within a few corners if he's not careful. It's looking like Hingston's got it, and he has it. Sealed it off. Nicely done.
Yeah, can't fault it. Can't fault Ariel for defending that position there, but it's exactly what I just said just a few minutes ago, where that can happen when you lose one. But Horvath doing well to fight back after getting bogged down in that very start of the race, and like I said, qualified 2nd. Now only down to 3rd, and with Aiden Young crashing out of the race, at least in this first heat, it takes a lot of the pressure off of Horvath when we're talking about the context of the championship.
It definitely does, and maybe we cursed them, but this will be one of those lower weeks that Aiden Young has. So Sproul, again, not completely out of it, but Devin Horvath is another proponent that he has to watch out for. Yeah,
it's possible if this one, he can kind of, Aiden Young can kind of recover it with a really good feature next race. We actually saw Horvath, I mean, basically do that at Road America. It still was one of his drop weeks, but potentially if he was to have a worse one today or next week, and look at that, all the way out wide by the wall. There used to be grass there, but now it's pavement.
Yes, they remodeled that, and you saw just how shaky it got with that onboard, the drop in the road, even though that's just a bump. But
Shallow food. Thinking about sitting inside? No, just getting some free air to break in.
Now, we have 4 minutes left in this race. Imagine that. Time flies here at Sebring. And look at that sunset. It's such a beautiful track. I love Sebring.
Yeah, and up at the front, Howenick looking really comfortable. Like I said, he did get that fastest lap pipped by Patrick Hingston, but it was only by 0.006. So he's nearly got a 4-second lead to the guys behind. McLeod now comfortably made his way past Julian and has Horvath behind, although Horvath's not right on the back of him. When Howenick gets to the line, it's going to probably be 2 laps to go.
Yeah, probably around there. It's, 2 minutes 3 seconds, so it's going to be close.
Yeah, we're looking. Looks like Aiden Young did actually come back out on the track. Probably more than anything, just to, get some more seat time and get comfortable with the car again for that feature, because he just put in a really fast lap. It wasn't quite the fastest lap of the race, but it was only 0.2 off.
Yeah, and I think he may have made up 1 spot by doing that on Crispin Hudson.
Yeah.
So that gives him a little bit more points if he managed. Oh, that's Rob Rodriguez Jr. going a little bit wide in the. I believe that's. I don't know what that's called. Turn 13, I think.
Yeah, I think that was that was Le Mans curve there.
Le Mans curve into the big long straight, and here a nice static camera shot that we all know I love. Troy Fenelon is leading the way of a nice pack here. Stefan Chatelafu looking for it on Ryan Colquhoun into turn 1. He pulls out, he thinks about it, but backs out. Thinks better of it. Maybe into turn 2. Oh, never mind!
Oh!
Colquhoun goes around. Luckily, nobody else really caught up in that, but yeah, Stefan Chatelafu definitely had a little contact there with him. I'm not sure who's at fault for it, but Colquhoun around now, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I will. I mean, it's always on the driver behind to keep it safe. I will say I'm a little surprised at how much Colquhoun slowed down. I'm not quite sure why he was slowing down as much as he was. Maybe he was just afraid of getting some understeer into the grass. But I mean, that's basically the story there. I think it's just one of those racing incidents. If I had to call it, just in a split second decision here.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's somebody could have slowed down a little bit more. Somebody could have not slowed down. It's hard to tell. So definitely a racing incident, and it's unfortunate. But the race goes on. It waits for nobody, and I think we're on the last lap as well.
We will next.
Next lap. All right. So we have 1 more lap to go. Mikey Howenick bringing it. Oh, never mind. There he is. Mikey Howenick leading the, kind of leading the race through sunset here, and he's going to see that white flag by the time he comes around. As there he is. There's the white flag, and there is Mr. Howenick.
Hingston's giving Horvath a run for his money right now. Up at the front over Howenick, it's been an extremely easy race. It's going to be a lot tougher when we get to that feature, and he's going to have to actually fight through the field, because having an unabated track in front of him, he's taken that to full effect and won this decidedly.
Yeah, he's having a great race. 4 seconds. Not too bad a gap to pull in just 8 laps. That's about half a second a lap. So
yeah, had a fantastic start off the line as well. So really nailed everything he needed to, but it gets a little more complicated and sometimes a little bit out of your control coming up. But yeah, look at that. Carrillo all over the back of Souza, who I get mixed up with Ariel Julian a lot.
now this is for the biscuits. Last lap move by Carrillo into the braking zone. It's he's not far enough ahead, I don't think. It's a tricky corner, and yeah. Oh,
Still
well,
close enough
no.
to be in the conversation here.
Yeah, he's got
gonna get
some
room
speed.
here.
And Souza's going to leave him that room.
Oh, they're
D'Souza,
close.
look how clean this is. But
This is
D'Souza
great
just
racing.
edging it out on top. Now look out for Mothral in the background because he wants part of this too. Ryan Calhoun has an incident on the last lap, and he's gone around, unfortunately.
We'll see if Mothral can grab a spot here. Most of, if not all of his gains he made in the first couple laps, and has been stagnant since then, up 6 from where he started, though. But he's trying to get 7. We're in the last couple corners here.
So let's see what we can do. It's going to be super close, that is for sure.
It's how, and it comes through Sunset Bend right now for the win.
How about Hingston, though, on Horvath? In Sunset, there's contact. Horvath getting that wide line. Hingston, if he does this, if he has that inside... Oh, he's letting him through.
Oh, okay.
All right, so some sportsmanship there from Hingston. Bumps him out wide. He doesn't want to take it like that. But Carrillo looking for a last-ditch attempt on D'Souza, and it's not going to be enough. Mothral can't manage to make anything happen either. Oh, that's a big sound of crashing. But, yeah. All right, hold on, though. Stefan Chalafou tries for it on Rob Rodriguez, but just can't make it happen by the time they come to the line. So, yeah, a great win there for Mikey Hownick. I know we missed him crossing the line, but there were some battles we needed to tie up. And, I mean, yeah, Mikey Hownick, dominant win. If you run away that much, you're not going to be on screen as much because there's no battle. But very well done by him to take that win.
Yeah, another good result, too, was Aaron Hall there, finishing in 7th. He was up 3 spots and top of the AM drivers, and that's important because he's leading the AM class by 30 points coming into this race, despite even missing one race, obviously that being a drop. But he had the 30-point gap on Carl Ribbing, who did do well in this race here, but that's even more points that he now pulls away.
Yep. So we'll have to see what they can do with this next race. 30 minutes. The top 8 are going to be inverted. So that'll be a fun thing to watch and see what they can do to try to bring back a little bit here in this the second race.
Yeah, it's going to be even more exciting, that's for sure.
So Michael McLeod starts on pole now after, well, maybe not. After finishing somewhere in the race. We'll have to see. But he's first in this practice session, this warm-up session, so if that counts for anything. This is a great time for a bathroom break or really anything in between our races here. And then we'll have our wonderful
Oh, no.
feature race.
Micah McLeod just got dropped from the server as connection. And, I mean, that's going to be a rush to be able to get back into the session in time, especially because when you have the first heat, it's a 2-minute gridding time, but any heats after the first one are only a 1-minute grid time, and that's just mandated by iRacing. So he's not going to be able to get back in time despite finishing second place.
Yeah, 1 minute and 40 seconds. I don't care what computer you have. iRacing, not quite that fast. But maybe he can start from the pits and try to salvage something. I don't know.
Also, Straffarelli, I see there, he's mentioning that he had his throttle pedal disconnected. So that's why I was mentioning how he and I can't remember exactly who it was off the top of my head now. Had a bad start to the race. His was really bad. It seemed like he didn't get off at all, and that's because his throttle pedal messed up.
Very unfortunate. Now, Michael McLeod actually finished in second, so that'll put him 7th if he can come out of this and rejoin the race. But as it stands,
Your record load time.
As it stands, it's not looking super strong for the Canadian.
Most other games, maybe you'd be able to get an iRacing. I don't think that's quite possible.
Yeah. So Miguel D'Souza is going to start on pole here. the number 1, and the number 321 is in 1.
Yeah, that spot that he defended from Carrillo at the end of the race was huge because Carrillo now has to start ninth and Souza gets to be all the way up there in first.
So, gridding procedure has ended. So, there's our lights. We got 3, and now there's 5, and they're going to go out. Miguel de Souza on the line, gets a great jump, and they're off.
Even better for Hall.
It's looking pretty good for Hall as well, who's already into first as they go down into turn 1. Aaron Hall, though, has that outside line. He's got to go further, and Miguel de Souza's back into first by the time they go into the turn. Now it's looking like Felipe Straffarelli in the background has some issues. Aaron Hall almost going wide there on the curb. 3 wide in the background, I see. They're getting dark. Look at the headlights are coming on tonight. And that's Ariel Julian trying to battle with Mr. Aaron Hall, who just lost a lot of spots there going into turn 2.
I have some bad news for Souza up front. Was probably a little bit uncomfortable being on first. Wasn't expecting it. And when the lights went out before going over, when the lights turned up to show the 5. He flinched and he moved forward. He has a black flag. He has to drive through for a jump start.
Oh boy. Well, Aaron Hall now going side by side with Devin Horvath through turn 4, the hairpin there, and he's going to get ahead as they go into turn 5. But Michael Carrillo wants to get past Aaron Hall as well. Can he do it? We've seen this move done a few times on the outside here, and he's already ahead by the time they start getting on the power again. Further back, though, look at that. Aiden Young is trying to work his way back up. He's into 16th now, up 8 spots within the first 7 corners of this race.
Yeah, really good start for Carrillo there, up 3, and I don't even know what happened to Aaron Hall. He was great off the line, but then he just looked like the car got a little twitchy in a few of the first few corners, and just didn't look like he was comfortable in the car.
Yeah, I think he got kind of boxed out going into turn 2. He was really wide, and then the cars just kind of started flooding, so that might have had a little impact on his start there. But out front, that first place is not safe. Miguel de Souza has to pit anyways, but Patrick Hingston wants to take it before he heads to the pits. Going down the straight now into Sunset, the bumpy corner of this track, and let's see what he can do. I think de Souza's going to dive into the pits.
Yep.
There he goes. I think he has 3 laps to serve it, but he'll take it now anyways. And that's going to put Patrick Hingston in the lead, but don't count out Ariel Julian. We saw him pretty strong earlier, and he's up 2 spots now if he can get ahead of Mark Lampere, who also wants that second place, and I think he's got it. Devin Horvath now wants that 3rd place from Mark Lampere, and Devin Horvath has it. Michael Carrillo getting a little sketchy there. I think they make contact, and Michael Carrillo really wants that 4th place. Mark Lampere is just bleeding spots now in the first sector of lap 2. And Ryan Winfelt, maybe he wants a piece of that too. Michael Carrillo is not done with him though. Going down to turn 4, and Mark Lampere has the edge on him. He's a little bit ahead into the braking zone. What can Carrillo do? It's not looking like enough. Ryan Winfelt, though, on Carrillo. And Ryan Winfelt, he's through. Can Carrillo answer that going down to the next turn? Turn 5. Carrillo really, really wide. Ryan Winfelt is way ahead as they go down to turn 5. Rob Rodriguez Jr. has had some issues, and he's crashed. Went off track for a few seconds there.
I believe it was Winfelt who had the bad start in the first race, but what a start he's had to this race. Already up 7 spots into the top 5.
Not too bad. Now, Devin Horvath, Ariel Julian. Devin Horvath is up 4 spots, by the way. Patrick Hingston was up 4 spots, by the way, to take first by the end of lap 1. That's something we saw Gabriel Duarte do earlier in the season. Unfortunately, he's not racing with us anymore. His wheel broke. And Mikey Hownick, look at that. Oh, ooh, big moment there for him. A tank slapper, but manages to keep it very nicely pointed forward. Lucky for the driver there without going around.
Yeah, like I said, it was going to be difficult, more difficult than the first heat was for him. But I think he's losing 3 spots. It's been worse than I expected.
Yeah, 3 spots, kind of a letdown, but at the same time, that win was also pretty good. So kind of balance out your evening, really.
Yeah, Michael McLeod did get out on track, but he is just making his way through turns 2 and 3 right now, and obviously we can see these leaders finishing that lap.
Yeah, McLeod only on his this is gonna be his first lap. So whoa, Ooh, Devin Horvath and Ariel Julian. I thought Julian was going to go into the dirt and lose it there, but he managed to keep it nicely. Troy Fenelon, and that is Mikey Hownick going into turn 2 as well. Mikey Hownick's now up ahead of Troy Fenelon, so that's going to put him only down 2 spots on this race. Lucky for the driver, making up a few spots, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to match that performance from last race.
And Aiden Young is hunting Fenelon right now. I think it's only going to be a matter of a couple corners here. He's driving really well.
There's
to start
Rivera
this
on
race,
Monthrall.
Nice move.
All right, go ahead.
Yep, just doing well to be aggressive there. He just made his pass through. Fenelon, be aggressive and try to recover as many points as he can to rectify that first heat.
Yeah, first heat, a letdown, but luckily he's making it and doing a little bit better now as they go into turn 5. You see those brakes glowing as well. That's very nice.
Yeah, we actually haven't really had any major disasters for anybody. It's except for D'Souza's penalty, and then he came into the pits. I think he even missed his pit box, and it was a whole thing. So he retired the car for this race. It was going to be more than a drive-through. It was a stop and hold, actually.
Yes, and then Colhoun, he's still limping around back there, but he's had a few incidents thus far. Crispin Hudson taking a lot of curb there, trying to fight off Stefan Chalafou, but Chalafou is through.
Yeah, Hudson is up 5 spots, though, and obviously did not finish the first heat. So going well in the start here, staying in the race, doing well. But we're seeing some familiar names that have gained some spots already, including, as you can see, Shannon Mothra on screen.
Yeah, and how about Carrillo and Winfeld? We saw this battle earlier on lap 2, and now it's materializing again, coming into lap 4. We are about a quarter way through this race, I believe, and Ryan Winfeld, well, just a little under a quarter, but Ryan Winfeld is now in 5th.
Yeah, both these guys looking way faster than they did in that sprint race. They both finished outside of the top 8 without having any major wrecks. I don't think so. I don't think that happened to either of them, but yet they're looking really strong right now and fighting each other at very equal paces.
Yeah, super strong, really good outing for both of them there. And, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on them as that battle furthers itself. Further back, Aiden Young is now up 13 spots on the race, and he's looking to make that 14 on Mikey Hownick. If he can, he just do it just a little bit right, get a nice exit, and Hownick kind of checking up for Rivera. Not checking up, but maybe watching out for him. It's not going to be enough going into turn 5, but he's gonna threaten the move, maybe get in his head a little bit there.
Yeah, again, Young was only just a couple tenths off the fastest lap that Hownick was able to put in the previous heat. So these guys are definitely evenly matched, although we just didn't really get to see them battle each other in that first heat because of the early incident.
So maybe we'll see it now, as he's actually got number 69 is Mikey Hownick. And 69 there is all over the back of 10, Jean Rivera.
Yeah, Jean Rivera doing well to run 3rd overall for the guys in the AM class. Didn't finish quite as well in this race as he had in the previous couple early in the sprint, but he's already made up 4 spots from where he started.
And now Carrillo and Winfeld again going into Sunset. The hairpin here and the bumpy hairpin, but Winfeld is way ahead as Carrillo has to kind of slap back in line.
Yeah, Carrillo's got a bit of a run here, though. It seemed like he slingshotted through a little faster, and Aaron Hall's got some decent speed there, trying to recover from that early sluggish start.
Yeah, but not going to be enough for either of them in the slipstream, but maybe it'll be enough here for Mark Santana on Edward Hub. Not enough.
Couldn't quite do it, but both those guys up multiple spots. Santana himself, he's up 7, and Hub's up 4, so we definitely have a lot of gainers in this race, and not too many people losing a lot of spots. Aiden Young really riding that curb hard there.
Yeah, he's looking for anything he can take to get ahead of Mr. Hownick, but this time it's not going to come. Maybe for Lampere, he'll get passed by Ariel Julian into turn 4, the hairpin there, and not maybe. It happened.
Yeah, there was actually a little bit of contact there with Hownick in that section, but Aiden Young has now made his way past Hownick. Looks like he just was able to break better into the inside. And not sure if Hownick was giving him the position because of the contact earlier or not.
I'm not sure, but what I am sure about is that we're about 1/3 of the way through this race. So, 10 minutes in. It doesn't feel like 10 minutes. We've done 5 laps out of 15, and I think we're not settling down any time now. Look at that. The whole field is really in a blanket of each other. Lots of people. All those yellow numbers are all within a second.
Yeah, what's surprising though is it's not at the front of the field. So the upper midfield, the midfield, the lower midfield, everybody's really close except for those top 3 guys who've set themselves apart from the group and from each other. Patrick Hingston has the fastest lap of the race right now, as I believe. Only a couple guys have even done 2:03s, but he's at a 2:03.4.
Yeah, the best lap, the 2:03.445. So not too bad at all for that. And then we can take a look. There's our leader, Hingston, and a 2.4 thousand strength of field as well. In case you were wondering how competitive this is.
Yeah, that's pretty high. It's the kind of session I don't look forward to in the officials because I know I'm going to finish near the back.
Yes, but you'll have some fun racing. Just like everybody to hear, it's very, very clean. I hear some crashing, though. Hold on. I'm not sure who. Philippe Schiafarelli. Philippe Schiafarelli did have some incidents there, and Ryan Winfeld went off track for a short period of time, along with Marc Lampaert. So, luckily, it doesn't look like Marc Lampaert lost much, but Winfeld now down to 10th. If I remember right, he was up there with Carrillo in the 5th, 4th area. So, I think that's what cost him.
Unfortunately, a bad result for Philippe Schiafarelli. Probably, at least the first heat was out of his control with the mechanical issues, but he couldn't really afford to have another bad race because he had 2 missed races, and then Interlagos, he only scored 8 points total. So, really needed to have a good night, and unfortunately, that was not so. He's running 11th in the pro standings right now.
Oh, unfortunate. Steven Eckenrode off track a little bit for about 5 seconds there. So he might be losing a few spots on our timing table. He's down in 20th right now. And Michael Carrillo now on the hunt for Marc Lampaert.
Yeah, Lampert's down 1, but with the reverse grid, that's still actually a pretty strong showing for him. So looking really strong, and especially he came into the race running 12th. Had a really good race at Manicure, but other than that, hasn't had huge point totals from the nights, and I think that this will, if it doesn't equal Manicure, then this may be his best night of the season so far.
That's not too bad. Sebring's a good place to have your best night. It's always a really fun one to be fast and competitive at, and hopefully it works out for him. He can bring home some nice points. And but yeah, Marc Lampaert down 1, Michael Carrillo up 4. That is a considerable difference in race story.
Well, and Carrillo did start outside of the reverse grid positions. He was that unlucky number 9 guy. And so Lampaert kind of just swapped over from 5th, where he finished, to 4th, and Carrillo had to fight all the way back. If he had just gained one more spot, if he was able to make his way past D'Souza, he would have been able to start this race on front. It could have gone very differently, but he's doing well to make do with what he's got. And again, you keep in mind that this is the last opportunity for these guys to get some points in a normal racetrack, because our final event next week is the Nordschleife.
Oh, Carrillo.
Oh, wow.
He is just bare. Oh, I think he might have tapped the wall there. But yeah, just barely in the wall. And that's going to cost him a lot of time from where he was. So maybe a commentator's curse. He lost 8 positions there from 5th now to 13th.
He did not touch the wall, though, so absolutely no damage to the car. But, that was a ton of lost time there in a race that's not all that long, so down to 13th now.
Yeah, we're about halfway through, actually. And as Lando Norris says, there's no damage to the car, just damage to the talent.
Well, yeah, Lampaert got his competitor there not breathing down his neck anymore, except Aaron Hall's kind of just replaced him there as we saw him in the background of that battle for a little bit. And I mean, he's got Mothra behind to deal with as well, but all three of those guys within a second of each other.
Yeah, and they're all pretty fast. That's there's no doubt about that. 2:03.7 from our leader of Hinkston, and no lap time for Horvath. Then a 2:04, 2:04, 2:05, 2:04, 2:04, except for Mikey Hownick with a 2:03.7 as well, who's actually now going past Ryan Winfelt for P8.
Yeah, Hownick was the fastest guy on the track for that last lap, but his average, he's had a couple rough few laps. He lost some spots. Obviously, we saw the battle he had with Aiden Young there, but has still some time to catch up. I mean, you can see there, other than Hinkston just kind of pulling away from Horvath at the front, that there's still manageable gaps behind that.
Yeah, there sure are. Now look at this, Carl Ribbing here, and that's Troy Fenelon ahead of him. He's faster than almost everybody behind him on the last few laps, except for a few, so not too bad from Carl there. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing, and part of that is that they're battling, but a lot of the midfield is quite a bit off of their fastest lap. Some of them have been saved, but a good amount of them are off of that. But the guys at the front, I mean, chiefly Patrick Hinkston, his last lap was only 0.3 slower. So we're 7 laps into the race, and he still has, prime life in those tires because he was able to take it really easy at the start. He wasn't battling anybody because he made up so many positions immediately.
Yeah, we always like to talk about our tire wear here on this show. There, Jean Rivera getting a little racy there.
A little optimistic there.
Carl Ribbing, let's see if he can use that racy attitude going down the straight into Sunset. Looks like he might have a bit of a run on him.
Yeah, Ribbing looked a little conservative through that corner there, Le Mans.
He's gaining slowly going down the straight.
Not enough.
But not enough. But we do like to talk about our tire wear game here on the Porsche Cup show, as Edward Hub is going for it there on Crispin Hudson, or no, the other way around. Rob Rodriguez and Crispin Hudson, Edward Hub, I don't know. And it looks like Mr. Rodriguez is ahead. Crispin Hudson actually in the pits now after a crash.
Oh, Rivera.
Carl Ribbing and Rivera really tight. Here we are into contact. Little bumping. Rubbing is racing, as they say. This is turn 3 now, and Ribbing is way ahead. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, that was some pretty brave sending by Rivera. Pretty brave defending by Ribbing.
Now, how about Aiden Young? Now, that was a nice overtake there. He's up 18 spots on the night for P6.
Yeah, Hownick's starting to really recover, and he needed to do that to get a little bit of space between the two, because coming into that, Hownick had closed right up on the bumper of him. But yeah, up to 6th spot. It's a great recovery, having finished in 25th in the previous heat. Yeah,
I mean 18 spots, not too bad of a gain there. That's, I think, the biggest one tonight. We have a 14.
Yeah, it kind of has to be
a 14. Spot loss there for Michael McLeod, who got kicked right before the gridding procedure.
Yeah, I mean, no fault of his own. He's been extremely fast out there. His fastest lap was a 2:03.7, and there's only 4 drivers in the field that have done a 2:03. So it's a shame that we didn't get... Rivera crashing into the back of Ribbing there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's... Well, I guess fortunately, but unfortunately for our drama, there's no spins. It's just a slight love tap, I guess. And Patrick
Ribbing goes just a little bit wide, and I mean, he doesn't really join unsafely, but Rivera kind of get out of the gas there because, I mean, he saw what happened, but he's made his way through now.
Yes, he has.
Well, sort of.
It's gonna be close. They're side by side going into turn 1. Rivera with the inside line. That's the way to go.
Oh, I don't know. Ribbing's gonna. I think he's gonna back out of this one here. It has looked like Rivera's had just a little bit more pace to be able to kind of stay all over the back of ribbing over the last couple laps. But I mean, these guys are definitely evenly matched right now.
Yeah, and how about Patrick Hingston? Nobody can match him. He's 7 seconds ahead of the field now, and actually just set the fastest lap of the race at 2:03.42. So, I mean, he's only getting faster as this goes on. That is pretty mad. I think we've seen a few people set their fastest lap as well. Mark Santana, we have Dan Marrera, and then Michael McLeod also set his fastest lap of the race last lap.
Yeah, especially since the tire update, which was, I think, week 3.
Oh, Creo round.
Oh, no. Yes. Another recovery that he was trying to make, and it's been an unfortunate race for him. He's had a lot of pace. But I was saying, since the update to the tire model, I think it was like week 3, I think we've seen more and more where a really strong guy, if he's able to get out to the front early, the tire management that he's able to do in that crucial first 4 or 5 laps rather than having to battle guys, it pays major dividends and ends up allowing them to run their fastest laps of the race in the middle. Oh, and Rivera goes wide. Really, really wide.
Let's take a look.
And Gribbing's now through.
Here's Rivera, and you can see he's all over the place. Kind of weaving, trying to get the slipstream broken, but it's not going to be enough. He's going way slow, as Dan Marrera, Mark Santana, and Carl Ribbing are now ahead of him.
Yeah, he just went extremely wide in Le Mans, which is not an uncommon thing to do, especially in cars, really fast cars here. If you just get the angle of it wrong, it's a bizarre corner where you actually have to like drive off track to take the entry to it, which it's totally allowed. It's an allowed racing surface. It's a little bit of a bizarre kind of racing line, but if you don't get it quite right, you can definitely send yourself out too wide because you need to have as much speed down the straight as possible.
You definitely can send yourself into the grass. It's not too hard to recover from if you just let off, but it can be a little bit scary.
Well, yeah, letting off, you can see what it did to Rivera there, losing 3 spots all just in that one straight.
Yes, it is. It's dangerous, but the chances are you probably won't end up with a damaged car.
I'm interested to see. We're down to looking at like 4 laps to go once Hingston gets through, and just see how much more ground Young's able to make up because the amount that he's been gaining has been slowing down a little bit. As he's continuing to make his way through these guys, now he's facing guys that are a lot more evenly matched with him. He is a little faster than Mothral, but it's gonna be tough to actually make his way through, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he found his way up with the pros. Now he's kind of in his own class. Aaron Hall and Mothral are the only exception to that. And Mothral doing really
Lampere there.
Yeah, they're side by side going down the straight. Mothral leading the AMs in this race here tonight, and he's going to be 4th overall as well.
I mean, as Hownick now finally makes his way past Aaron Hall, still not a bad race for Hall with such a lead that he had in the amateur class. It's he was top of the AMs last race in the sprint race, and still a very decent result here for
Aiden Young. Aiden Young's through.
Kind of letting him through there, honestly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just with Mothral, he's in 4th place, but he is 53 points off of Hall because Mothral was not here for the first 3 races. So all 3 of his drop weeks were unfortunately and unintentionally burnt up there, and he's been in every race starting from week 4 at Manicure on.
Oh, that's gonna hurt him.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Shannon. But yeah, no, he's having a good race. Was running first, and is still 2nd for all the amateurs right now, with a 1.5 second gap back to Troy Fenelon. But with how Aaron Hall did in the sprint race, the championship is looking pretty secure for him once we come into the final week next week.
All right, well, we've got about 45 minutes of racing next week, and tonight about 6. So what can Aiden Young do in the closing 6 minutes? Now this is where all the gaps are. He's made his way from 24th to 4th, within 25 minutes. So not a bad showing there for the driver. From it sports the number 427, but I mean, if you read it backwards, it's 7 and then 24 where he started. So I don't know.
I would be surprised. We'll have to say I would be surprised to see Aiden Young able to get another spot, because down to 3 laps, he's got 4 seconds to make to Ariel Julian in front. Ariel Julian is one of those guys that's been able to run in the 203s. I mean, the fastest lap, Julian was only 0.2 slower than Young. So I think Aiden Young may have made up his final spot, but 20 spots made up is ridiculous, and a fantastic recovery. We saw a great recovery from Devin Horvath at Road America, and this one equals or tops that.
Yeah, on the last lap, Aiden Young not quite as fast as he has been. He lost a little bit of ground to Hingston and the Horvath, and gained about a 1/10 and a little bit to Ariel Julian.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to see a close battle up at the front for those podium positions. We've seen so much close battling, but it's back there in the midfield. Very interesting to see Hingston step away, especially considering that he didn't qualify all that well, but had a really good sprint race and then a really good feature race here.
That's all it takes. He started 5th. He finished 4th in the sprint. Put him 5th for the start here, and then he was able to take the lead by lap 1. So really, really solid. Shinamath more trouble. He's off track for 9 seconds. So that's going to put a little bit of a damper in his what would have been a really strong race from him.
I still, at least there, I still see him in 9th place.
Yeah, he is.
Troy Fenelon, or ahead of Troy Fenelon still.
So not a huge loss. He's still up 1 from where he started, but he was a little bit higher before.
Yeah, and he made up a lot of spots on that sprint race as well. So just unfortunately a small error that's undone the race a little bit as far as points, but still, as far as where he's placing in his class, extremely competitive.
Yeah, I mean 9th. That's still 2nd place. That's not too bad, eh?
And Hingston's coming through the line. It's going to be 2 to go with 3 minutes remaining. And, man, it's now a 8-second gap behind us. He puts it at 2:03.4 yet again. I mean, he's just, no one's even close to him, right? Oh, I mean, Horvath's last lap there at 2:07, so still very impressive by him. But, I mean, I can't believe the pace that Hingston's had this late into the race. And it's dark, too. It's harder to drive when it's dark. That's just an objective fact. Especially
at Sebring. We'll take a little look here with Carl Ribbing as he races with Troy Fenelon. It's really hard at Sebring. You got, we'll watch them go side by side actually first, but you've got these little reflectors on the ground that kind of show you the track limits, which they're helpful, but they also kind of get hard to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's a lot more that you have to focus on, and actually the X factor too is that the game runs worse at night because there's more stuff it's calculating with the lights and reflections and all that. And so people who are running on not super computers or anything actually can have like worse performance, and that can impact air driving as well. But haven't seen any big mistakes so far while it's turned night, so that's good to see. But it's certainly a nice track to look at nighttime.
It certainly is. You can see those reflectors on the ground that I mentioned before. Obviously, it's pretty light looking actually compared to what I'm used to. But yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these guys getting ready for the 12-hour Sebring coming up in a little bit. Not quite in these Porsche Cup cars, but GT3, LMP2, and LMDH.
Yeah, that'll be a fun race. You and I finished 2nd there last year, and yeah, great track. And always provides a lot of fun racing.
And Hingston's now coming for the 2nd to last time past the finish line. White flag is waving.
White flag's waving, so Mikey Hownick.
With a 2:03.1.
Wow. Mikey Hownick is going to start the last lap in 5th place as he gets by Mark Lampere in Sunset.
It is a late, leaving it late to the race, but Hownick finally getting some improvement after after just falling back a little bit. Although he's
Lampaert wants it back.
Yep.
And he's going to take it back.
Switchback maybe?
Nah, that's
no.
Lampaert's.
He's going to lose the position. Yeah.
Yeah, so Lampaert really wants to stay 5th. That's a great finish for him. He's up 2 spots on this race after about 30 minutes of racing. The white flag. This is all for all of the biscuits. Houwenick, is it going to be Mark Lampaert for this 5th place? I mean, this is the closest battle. Houwenick's now side by side with him into turn 4. Here we go. And no contact. Nice and clean. Houwenick, though, coming out a little bit behind. Does he have a great exit to try to combat this? No, he doesn't.
Oh, I love the battling that these guys are putting on for this final lap showdown here.
He's going to have that outside line. It's not quite. Oh, what a round they go.
Oh, no.
Both of them, they collect him. Aaron Hall almost
Hall.
Aaron Hall almost also collected in that. Luckily, he keeps it out of the wall. So it's not going to be either of them for 5th place. It's going to be Aaron Hall if he can keep it. But right behind him is Ryan Winfeld as well.
I think it's looking pretty good for Hall. He's only got a few more corners to fend off Winfeld. But Winfeld charging, he's up 6 spots. Seemed to kind of finish the sprint race out of position, but he's got just 2 more turns to go.
Yeah, he'll do it. But right here is Patrick Hingston, who's started in 5th, is gonna finish 1st. His lights are flashing. Patrick Hingston wins at Sebring. Here's Aiden Young, up 20 spots. Yeah, I mean, solid 10-second gap. Not a small gap to win by, especially with a competitive field like this. Aiden Young is going to gain 20 spots and finish 4th. What a recovery drive from him. He's only 0.8 off the back of Ariel Julian by the time they get to the line. Now, Mark Lampaert here. Mikey Houwenick, we saw him come together earlier, and Mark Lampaert is going to stay ahead despite the loss of about 3 positions from where he was just this lap. 1/10 separates. Oh. All right. And then 0.8 further back, Rob Rodriguez Jr., Jean-Manuel Rivera. It's crash fest here at the end of the race. Fireworks in the background. We got fireworks on the track. Oh, wow. All right, Edward Hubb coming in for 17th. Stephen Eckenrode coming through Sunset for 18th right now. Gary Watson finding his way to the Le Mans corner. And how about a ride on board so we can see what we're talking about with just how weird of a corner it is. There he goes. And Michael McLeod, even better view, coming in to this nice S. I love these turns here in the LMP2. And then you go off track, come back on to bring it down the straight here. And ooh, almost loses it, but nicely.
Cloud never did get lapped.
No, he didn't get lapped. He kept it on lap 15. He's going to finish 15 laps and only 11 seconds now off the back of Gary Watson.
Yeah, what could have been, obviously, no fault of his own there. Now, next week, these guys will luckily not have to deal with the nighttime at the Nordschleife. It is a little bit different. They're running the Gesam-Strecke short without the arena. A little bit of a different setup than normally you get with like the 24-hour, but it's just going to be a standing start 3-lap race. So in case anyone wondered, that's what the official is. So I would assume that this for the league will be also lapped by lap, but I guess we'll get that news to you in the coverage up to that race.
Indeed. So let's take a look at our results for the night. In first is Patrick Hingston. Then, after him, we've got Devin Horvath and Ariel Julian, Aiden Young, Aaron Hall, Ryan Winfeld, Shinema Thrall, Mark Lampaert, Mikey Houwenick, Troy Fenelon, Carl Ribbing, Mark Santana, Michael Carrillo, Rob Rodriguez Jr., Jean Rivera, Dan Marrera, Edward Hubb, and Stephen Eckenrode.
Following those guys, finishing in 19th, Gary Watson and Michael McLeod, Stefan Chalfou, Crispin Hudson, Ryan Colhoun, Philippe Straffarelli, Miguel de Souza, and Jerome Callender.
Alrighty, so 1 week's time, we'll see you for the season finale of the Porsche Cup Challenge, Week 12. at the very scary Nürburgring. That's all we have for you tonight, folks. Have a good night.